cause of action he's looking for representation on this. Gabe McCarthy here? Gabe?
Good.
You're the final lawyer here, so would you explain what's up?
Yes, thank you. And I'm glad to finally share my story. Before I was an attorney, I worked for Brett. I was his paralegal about 10 years ago. I've been advised by Pat that all the applicable statutes of limitation have run, but I wanted to get my story out. I worked for Nick Crawford. I don't know if he remembers this, but between my second and third year of law school, I was a summer associate at Brass and Weberall, and Nick was always in trial. I never saw him. I don't have any stories about him. I was in charge of keeping Brett on task, kind of getting him to do things, meet deadlines. I was a total failure at this job. The best example that I can come to, I know I don't have much time, is the legendary Julia Davis cattle boat case, where Brett had, it existed before I got there, but two clients from California that had come up and had stayed in Boise and had decided to take a cattle boat on the Julia Davis pond. The worker there took them past the otherwise seaworthy paddle boats to the listing, leaky, rusted out paddle boat at the end, and bid them farewell. They made it, I'm not sure how far, and flipped it in Julia Davis. And the gentleman suffered a really bad case of swimmer's itch. Very, very bad. But he also, he separated his shoulder and needed surgery, and the case malingered, and I needed Brett to file a complaint because the statute was coming up. So I went into his office and I was like, oh, please, just sign this. We have to get this moving. We're going to blow the statute. And Brett looked at me and he said, have we researched products liability? And it terrified me because I didn't know. I wasn't an attorney. Products liability sounds like a lot of work. But I left his office about 45 minutes later when he was halfway through his research on maritime law and whether or not Julia Davis was a navigable waterway. And this is absolutely, every word of this is true. This is the complete truth. It's completely true. And by my memory, I went and worked on my law school application and set on the course of becoming an attorney. And thank you, Brett, for sending me in that direction, although he did not do it on purpose. I appreciate it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And did you get suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder? I think you argue having to practice in the same town as Brett. You've got a continuing tort thing here. So, give us some thought, guys. He's a great client. I remember that. There is some basis in criminal jurisdiction, at least, to make the Julia Davis Park a navigable waterway. I found out in preparing for this that Brett went to school during the Vietnam War and went to a lot of schools during the Vietnam War. College deferment, attending UMass, Hampshire College, McGill, Oxford, and back to UMass to get a degree. Then it ended up down in D.C. writing speeches for a congressman. That lasted for about a year until his relationship with the congressman's daughter went south. And he went west.
That's true. I'd rather do that.
Playing buddy out here and ended up talking to Sheldon Vincenti into letting him into U of I Law School when there was only a week before it started. And I only know one other person who pulled that off at a different law school, and that's Ward Parkinson. So you are in good company, Brett. And of course he got to law school and figured he was going to flunk, but he was too embarrassed to leave. But he didn't really flunk out. Got this story from Walt Sinclair, who can't be here, and I don't know whether it reflects on Walt or Brett. But they were good buddies, classmates in law school, and Walt, being from Twin Falls, agreed to go bear hunting. Bear hunting with this guy from the East Coast in Idaho during some school break. So Brett shows up with like 22 rifles, no bear tag, no license. Walt at least had his license and had shot a deer before. And Walt looks at the rifles and the caliber and says, oh my God. And then he figures, all right, if we run into a bear, I know that if I can't run faster than Seiniger, I can at least shoot him in the leg. And maybe not. He still does. So, Brett's first real job after law school was in Pocatello with the Racine firm. And Mark Nye shared this story with me, which is his well wishes. Greg was a great Minnesotan. He was the first one there every morning, last one to leave, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, until one morning a partner got there early and went down to the basement of the office, and there was a garden hose snaking through a window with a sprinkler down there. And over in the corner was a cot, and a hot plate, and a sleeping bag. And it turned out that Breck had been living in the basement, showering in the garden hose. No fooling. I didn't have to make anything up for this way. So they were all sort of happy when he moved back to Boise. He practiced with Dave Nevin, then sold his sports car for startup money for his own law firm, and since then his line has been, it's just a disaster, and throughout this disaster he has, represented a U.S. senator, destroyed the CEO of a Fortune 500 company on the witness stand, personally appealed to the governor of Idaho on behalf of Idaho's injured workers to say nothing about the lactating mom spared from jury duty.
Lactation litigation.
Lactation litigation. He's a specialist. It's on his website. He's even been on ABC's 2020, although they cut the part with Breck and just covered the story. But I got to tell this other story since Andy's involved in this one. Breck is such a good lawyer. He went over to court one day with my current partner Clay Gill, when Clay was an associate working for Andy. And this is in the days when we still had common law marriage in Idaho. It hadn't been statutorily abolished. And Breck had a wrongful death case, and Andy had written this tremendous brief supporting summary judgment, claiming that there was no cause of action, there was no common law marriage. And Breck was reading the brief on the way over, met Clay there, and Clay had been sent over to argue everything, and Clay was excited. And Breck said, you know, I think you got it, you got me nailed, let's go tell the judge that I'll stipulate the summary judgment. So they walk into Duff McKee's chambers, and tell the judge McKee that they're going to stipulate to this. McKee looks at Breck and says, Breck, do you know how many factual questions are involved with the question of common law marriage and whether or not it exists? And Clay Gill says, oh, come on, please, you stipulated to you can't just put it on the record. And the judge says, no, I think we'll go into chambers and then just argue this motion right now. Breck won. So, you know, if I were going last, I would ask everybody in this audience to stand up who's either worked with Breck as co-counsel or against him, but I know I'd have you all standing up and not able to finish eating your dinner. So all I want to say is thank you, Breck, for becoming part of our Idaho community.